We are live and ready to go. Are we good, Ella? All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome. It's Chef Jason Morse, and I'm hanging out tonight for Friday Night with Beef, courtesy of the Colorado Beef Council. We have a really cool recipe for you tonight. We're going to be talking about all things beef fajitas. So we're going to be doing them on the grill. We've got a nice little griddle set up and really have an absolute fantastic and super easy recipe for you. So tonight's recipe you can grab on beefitswhatsfordinner.com. And then don't forget to follow Colorado Beef Council and our 5280 culinary page on Facebook. Then Colorado Beef has a website set up for you, cobeef.com. On that website, we have a page called Cooking, or a tab called Cooking. You can click on that. That will have information from all of our recipes we've done. We're on week number 3 now, so we have all of our recipes set and ready for you. And then we have an awesome map and locator that will tell you where you can find Colorado beef. It'll connect you with local ranchers and producers that are ready to take care of getting you some beautiful Colorado beef. Can you see questions coming in on the screen there, Ella? See any questions? No? Okay. All right. So if you have questions, like we always say, don't forget to leave them in the comments section. We'll get them answered while we are up and running, or we will go ahead and get them answered after the fact. So we'd like to come back and keep you engaged and answer those questions and make sure you are set and dialed in with your beef knowledge. So come on in here. Let's talk a little bit about our recipes tonight. Peppers and onions are obviously very common when it comes to fajitas. We've got red peppers, we've got yellow onions, and we've got some green peppers. I wanted to show you kind of one of the ways I chop these up to make them just a little bit smaller when it comes to having dinner for the kids, right? It's a little bit harder to sneak a huge piece of pepper like that past your kids versus I like to cut them in half and then go through and just cut these guys down in a little bit smaller piece like that, and a little bit thin too. I like these things to caramelize up nice and neat when it comes to the griddle we're going to be cooking on. So here's my tip. Split this guy in half. First thing I'm going to do is put my fingers in there, and I'm going to pull out the seed pod. So tap that guy out, get it all cleaned out inside, just like that. Then what I'll do is cut that guy in half, and then carefully hold that and go through it and just make some nice, easy, even strips. Again, like I said, these things just caramelize so good and melt so nice. They just do a really, really, really good job. So what I'll do here then on the onion is we went ahead and peeled it, went ahead and sliced it, and then I'm going to cut that guy in half as well. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut through this. Again, making those smaller pieces. I really like those pieces to be small and get a good amount of cook on there. So we'll go in here. Those guys all cleaned up. Ella, we have any questions coming in? No? Are we not live on the screen? Yeah, we're live. We're good. Oh, okay. Get out. I would get out of that. All right, a little bit of oil in here, you guys, and just a tiny bit. So I didn't put a lot of oil in. I put just a little bit because I don't want the oil to flare up on the griddle, right? And I'm going to put just a little bit of seasoning in here now because you can always add more if you want. So get this tossed up like that. Get that coated nice and neat. And there you have it. Pretty simple. So we'll set this guy aside here on the grill. And now let's talk a little bit about the beef that we're using tonight. Skirt steak. In my humble beef eating opinion, I love skirt steak. It's one of my favorite cuts. It delivers. It is such a good, flavorful, tasty. There's nice fat in there. It's marbled. It just comes out to be so nice. I love to eat it as just a beef when I'm getting ready to have it for dinner. And I also like it for fajitas, for tacos. So this is 1.7 pounds that we bought at the store. This is choice. Couple things you want to look at, right? When you get it, there's going to be a little bit of work you have to do when it comes to trimming. And what I like to do is just go under the silver skin a little bit. And we want to just get this cleaned up and get some of this silver skin and some of that connective tissue off, right? So we'll trim this up. And we'd like to be careful. I don't want to cut a lot of meat off. I just want to get that connective tissue. All right. And then I check for fat. A little bit of fat is totally perfect on here. That is what I'm looking for. Now, look at this here. Come in nice and close, Ella. Ella's my camera person tonight, my camera girl. So if you look at this, see the way the muscle fibers are going. You can see how they're all going this way. It is important to note, I'm going to cut this into a little smaller section because I like to grill smaller sections. When I grill this, it's important to remember which way those muscle fibers are going, because from a chewability standpoint, right, and soft and delicious and wonderful, you want to cut against the grain, which is this way. When you cut against the grain, imagine that. You get a long, long strand of that muscle fiber, and it doesn't come out soft and easy to eat. It comes out a little bit more tough. So again, when it comes to the operator side of it, we're going to cut it against the grain to get some beautiful, tender pieces of meat. So we got that cleaned up on that side. We'll flip over to the other side. You can see that's just a little bit of fat. To me, that is okay. I love that. It adds a good amount of flavor. And again, we'll clean this up a little bit more. And when we flip it over, we may have a little bit on this side to clean. So we'll go ahead and set this guy aside. All right, we've got our cutting board all set. I'm going to switch my gloves here 1 second. All right, so now we've got this all set, right? You can see that we've already seasoned that. I didn't add any oil to this. I didn't add anything extra because really what I wanted to do was allow that meat to absorb that seasoning and to really pull in a lot of flavor and just make it come out super fantastic. So let's go over here. I'll show you what we've got on the grill. Today what we've got on the grill is we've got kind of our griddle, right? This is our griddle setup that has our plancha, or what we call our plancha, set and ready to go. I've got these here, and I'm going to go ahead and put those on the plancha, and that's going to be our saute station for the night. And then right here, we've got our grill grate. So what I'm going to do first, very, very carefully, you guys, I'm going to put just a tiny bit of oil now on the top. Not a lot, just a little bit. I'm going to wipe that around here. We're going nice and hot. The grill temperature today, 600 degrees. I want to enjoy as much of that beautiful marbling as I can in that skirt steak. So I went ahead and left it nice and hot, so I just get a beautiful, beautiful sear and a nice little crust on there, all right? So what I'm going to do is, you know what? These are going to cook nice and fast today. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and get our peppers and onions.
Can you tell us what other veggies you can use and what seasonings you're using?
So the seasoning I'm using is a Cajun seasoning, and really you can use anything. Salt and pepper's fantastic. You can use taco seasoning. There's a great beef seasoning recipe on beefitswhatsfordinner.com as well. And it just comes out so nice. And I went with a lighter seasoning with less sodium so I could let that beef flavor come through. Vegetables, oh, you could do corn, you could do peppers and onions, you could do squash. Really anything you want. You can even do marinated cabbage. So I'm going to shut this real quick. We're going to let that come back to temp. We're going to make sure everything is set to go. And then come on up on me and we'll answer questions for just a couple minutes.
Yep. Do you need to marinate the meat first?
So I didn't marinate it at first. What I did was basically pulled it out of the package, let it rest for 5 or 10 minutes, right out of the package so it had a chance to breathe, and then seasoned it on both sides, and I let it sit for about 15 minutes before it went on the grill. What happens then is it relaxes a little bit, has an opportunity to absorb some of that seasoning, and just opens up the beef, gets it ready for the grill, and produces a much better product. Other questions?
Not yet.
All right. The great thing about this too, as we've talked about in this series, that cook once, eat twice, you can totally do this with skirt steak from today that's fresh out of the package and ready to go. You could also repurpose some leftovers, right? So if you had some leftover steak from yesterday or some leftover tri-tip, even ground beef, you could repurpose that too and make tacos out of it, or use that tri-tip and saute it off and make that into fajitas as well. All right, so see what we got here. Let's take a sneak peek. Like I said, the reason I cut these guys so much smaller, can you get in a little closer without getting the camera? Look at all the, oops, sorry, you got your foot. Look at all the vegetables. We're doing a really nice job of getting some color on here. And again, look at that. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful color on these veggies. And it happens fast. You know, everybody always asks frequently, what temperature do you cook at? What temperature do you cook at? What temperature do you cook at? I'm always a go hot and stay hot kind of guy. When I'm doing hot grilling and ready to eat grilling, and I'm not messing around with reverse searing, I want this grill preheated as hot as possible in that 500 or 600 degree range. What that's going to do is really seal in and caramelize the outside layers of that meat, seal in as much juices as possible. You're going to lose some just naturally through the cooking process, but this really helps lock in as much juice as possible. All right, so, and I keep opening and shutting the lid because I'm really trying to keep that heat in there so I can get this thing grilled off nice and hot and nice and fast. And you can see we're getting beautiful caramelization. They call that the Maillard reaction, and it's coming out, oh, so nice. No questions? All right. Peppers are sauteing beautifully. We're going to shut this for a couple more seconds. And again, like I said in the beginning of the video, be sure to head over to cobeef.com. That's the Colorado Beef Council's website. You can find a tab there called Cooking, and that tab will have recipes that we've done in our series, but also is going to have a little sheet and a map that's going to connect you to Colorado producers, so you can now support local and really help drive our Colorado beef economy. That is fantastic. You shop local, buy local, eat local beef. Doesn't get any better than that.
Would salt and pepper work on the meat?
Salt and pepper would be great. You know, the beauty of, keep in mind, I'm a guy that produces barbecue seasonings for a living. But I'll tell you what, when you get into the rudiments of cooking, back to the basics, salt and pepper produce a very, very fantastic tasting product. Keep in mind, any seasoning, salt and pepper, barbecue rubs, Cajun seasonings, whatever, I do less is more. I really want that beef to just be fantastic. We have a couple guys that broke out of the house, so if you see our dogs running around, they're just looking for Scooby snacks. That's how it works around the Morse household. So peppers and onions getting a beautiful, beautiful saute. That beef is doing its thing. So here's tortillas. Everybody always asks, what kind of tortillas? I love these guys. These are a hybrid tortilla. So that's going to be corn and flour. I'll tell you, the flour gives you that beautiful softness, right? Just that gorgeous, like soft eating tortilla. And then that corn gives you that nice snap of tortilla. Now, beef is almost ready. And actually, this guy is. So let me show you. Everybody always asks, how do you know it's done? How do you know it's done? So look, if I push on that, you can see it's a little squishy, right? It means there's a lot of moisture in there and it's not as well done yet. So when I feel it's really soft, I know it still needs a little bit more cooking. This guy though, look at that. That is pretty firm. That is definitely telling me it is time to pull this guy off. We're going to give it just a couple seconds to rest. Let me clean up my pan here real quick and wipe off my cutting board super fast. And we will get ready to do some beautiful beef. Who asked that question?
I don't know.
Listen, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I totally poured the salsa out of the jar. I love Newman's own pineapple salsa. Absolutely adore it. I think it's a great salsa. Can I make my own? Absolutely. Is it fantastic? Yes. But there's so many more important things that I'd rather spend my time on than making salsa. So there's my there's your Ask Chef Jason, and he'll give you the real scoop answer. Okay, so again, you guys, look at, if I pull this just a little bit, see that? You can see all the muscle fibers are running this way. It's helpful to me now to turn it sideways, so I know the next time I come back to the board, it is time to get that guy sliced against the grain. Here we go. A little bit of green onions. I'm going to throw some green onions on here as well, just to get those guys cooked off just a tiny bit. Do we have any other questions rolling in?
There's one coming.
One's coming. Okay. Hey, don't forget too, next week you definitely want to tune in. We're breaking out a brand new griddle. We have this big, beautiful Blackstone griddle. We're going to break that griddle out. Someone requested, which reminds me, you can request too. Leave a note down in the comments and tell us what would you like to see in our upcoming family cooking nights, because someone requested last week beef breakfast burritos, and we're absolutely going to rock it because there is a fantastic beef sausage recipe that I'm excited to, let you guys try.
So someone would like to know, what can you use besides skirt steak?
Ooh, flank steak is fantastic. Flank steak is beautiful. flap meat. If you get flap meat, it's great. You could use leftover brisket. You could use ribeye. You could use roasted chuck that you've pulled, sirloin that you've shredded. Go with the thinner cut. I'll tell you what, though, from just that overall, like, wow, skirt steak is just, it's so good. Back in the day, I mean, I remember back when gas was 99 cents a gallon. I remember back when I was a kid, you know, skirt steak was a value cut. It wasn't necessarily sought after as much as it is now. Now it's like, I look for it every time I go to the grocery store, and I always grab a pack because I love to eat it. Yeah, I'm not always on a prime rib budget or a ribeye budget or a New York budget, but I'll tell you what, I always have beef to fit my budget, and that's the beauty of really from snout to tail getting something that meets your budget. All right, babe, we are fajita time. You ready for fajitas for dinner?
I am.
All right, so tortillas are hot. Set those guys right there. Now, look at this. What I will do again, remember, there's the grain. I'm even going to go further and cut it like that. And now, you guys, nice and thin. I want this thin so that it just falls apart. I don't want huge pieces that, you know, grandma's gnawing on and grandpa's spilling on his Sunday best shirt. You want it, or even me, all over the front of my chef's coat. And I'm just holding my hands away, making sure. But look at that cook. We didn't go crazy, right? I don't need to cook it well done. I really want to just get in there and make it that like perfect medium, right? So load those guys in a little bit. Don't forget too, today's recipe is available on beefitswhat's.com, and this is called Classic Fajitas. All right. Now look at this. A little bit of green onion.
Ooh, those look good.
Right? So I just tear it off, and I want to put a little bit on there. Actually, we'll cut this guy here. Nice little chunk of green onion on there. Nice and soft, just a little punch. I mean, there's something so beautiful and sweet about these spring onions. They just do like perfect. All right, stay there. I got peppers and onions coming for you next. All right, a little bit of peppers and onions on each of these guys. What do you think, babe? Do I get your seal of approval?
I do. I might have one for dinner.
What? All right, a little bit of seal of approval. Now, again, keeping in mind that I really want the beef to shine. I could go after that fajita and be totally happy. But because somebody called me out and wanted to know, here's my Newman's pineapple salsa. A little bit of that over the top. A little bit on that guy. And then just because that like perfect salt finish, cotija cheese is just fantastic right here. And all you need is a little pinch and just a little crumble over the top. That is get in there and like give them that like food like overview. That's the cotija. Then do a flyover of the fajitas. Look at that. Oh. All right, so before we do our quality control, because you know we always do quality control, thank you so much to the Colorado Beef Council for having us. This is a great way for us to spend a little time together. It's Friday night with beef. We spend some family time. We're going to be coming to you every Friday through the end of June at 6 p.m., hanging out, talking beef. Don't forget to leave questions, comments below. We'll get those answered for you, and then let us know what you'd like to see for your one of our next videos. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up for you, a lot of fun recipes. And then don't forget the recipes. You can go to cobeef.com. That's cobeef.com. That's the Colorado Beef Council website. There's a tab in there called Cooking. You can click on that tab. You'll get all of our recipes. And then, like I said, there's a great little map in there and contact page that will help connect you to ranchers and producers. And a thank you, especially a big thank you to all of our Colorado ranchers and producers for doing their best to keep beautiful Colorado beef on our plates, in our fridges, in our freezers, and definitely right around here in that belly area. Some of us a little bigger than others, but all right, that's it. Any last minute questions before I eat a taco? The dog... Apparently I dropped because both the dogs are hanging out waiting for me, but we good?
We're good.
All right, you guys.
Gizmo got a Scooby snack.
The patio's pretty clean because the dogs get their Scooby snacks. I'm Chef Jason Morse with the Colorado Beef Council. Thank you all so much for hanging out in our backyard, doing a little cooking, enjoying some fajitas. We will see you next Friday for Friday night family night with beef. We are cooking breakfast burritos. I'm excited. I hope you are. Cheers.